Hello, my name is Laura Schur. I'm an instructor at Blind Industries and Services of Maryland. And today I have with me my student.
Yeah, hi, my name is Juneil. I'm a student here in the core program at BISM.
And today we are going to be making a basic sugar cookie recipe. But we're going to be doing it as blind people, the non-visual way, because that's what we promote here at BISM. That's our core values, to show that blind people are capable. So today we are going to be making, like I said, a simple basic sugar cookie recipe. And all that you will need for this recipe will be flour, sugar, baking soda, baking powder, egg, butter, and vanilla extract. Any other recipe directions will be linked down below for you to follow with the correct measurements of every single ingredient that you will need. So the first thing that we want to do is preheat our oven to 375 degrees. And if you notice, our oven has braille on it. So we made it accessible for us. It didn't come this way. We had to do this ourselves. So first I'm going to come over and press the button on, and then I'm going to go up to bake and hit 3, 7, 5, and bake again. So that's what we're going to do. So that way, while the oven is preheating, then we can actually start our recipe. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is gather up all our dry ingredients and then measure them all out and then place them to the side. But I first want to go over measuring cups. I happen to have a set of measuring cups here that actually do have braille on them. However, they are helpful. That's not something that you need. So what you can do is just remember 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can count to 4, you can get this down. So always remember 1 is our first cup. It's a whole entire cup. And that's going to be the largest in your stack of measuring cups. And then the next cup is our 1/2 cup. So you have your 2, so that's a half a cup. And that's going to fit right inside your 1 whole cup. Then your next measuring cup is going to be your 1/3 cup. So there's your 3. And that's going to fit inside of our half a cup. And then you have the smallest cup, which is 1/4 of a cup. And that's going to go in the very top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to hand the measuring cups to Juneil, and he's going to measure out our flour.
So I'm going to be putting 2 cups of flour into the bowl, making sure to measure it out properly so that it's airy and we get some nice, fluffy, soft cookies. So I'm going to use a tablespoon, and I'm going to just measure a tablespoon at a time and kind of flake it over the tray to make sure that the flour is nice and fluffy. Now that I've finished measuring, I'm going to put it into the bowl.
And the reason why that Juneil uses a tablespoon to add his flour into the cup is for flour actually should be measured out by weight versus volume. And that's where a lot of people tend to make a baking mistake, is they over compact their flour into their measuring cup, and that's where you get very hard and thick cookies. This way, like he said prior, that he will have very soft and fluffy cookies by doing it this way. So essentially, he's pretty much aerating his flour by doing it in the way that he's doing it. So he's basically taking a teaspoon, going into the container, pulling out what he wants, and then gently tapping it into the measuring cup. And when he gets that measuring cup full, he's going to take his finger, slide it gently across to level it out, and then dump his flour into the bowl. Pause. All right. So next thing, Juneil is going to be measuring out the baking powder and the baking soda. Now these require you to use a set of measuring spoons. These are just basic measuring spoons I have in my hand. They do not have any braille in them whatsoever, but they're all linked together. So it's another simple way. This happens to be a set of 4 measuring spoons. The first one is always going to be your tablespoon, which is the largest one. The second one is going to be a teaspoon, which is your second to your largest. And then you have a half a teaspoon, and then you have 1/4 of a teaspoon. So Juneil for this recipe needs 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to hand you a teaspoon, Juneil. Let you do that. And then after that, then he will add in a half a teaspoon of baking powder to his dry ingredients for this recipe.
So right now, I'm adding a teaspoon of baking soda into the dry ingredients.
So Juneil had taken his teaspoon, he had scooped it into his container, and then he took his finger and leveled it off, and then he dumped the teaspoon into the bowl. Now Juneil is going to be adding in the baking powder. He's going to be using a half a teaspoon of baking powder to this recipe, using the same thing, where he takes the half a teaspoon, goes into the container, scoops it out, takes his finger, levels it off, and then dumps it into the bowl. So now Juneil has successfully measured out all his dry ingredients. So I'm going to hand him a whisk, and then he's going to whisk them together. And when he's done that, so he's taking the whisk, he's just going into the bowl, and he's just stirring it around gently, not to get the flour and the baking soda and the baking powder everywhere. So he's just kind of fluffing it up, basically aerating it. So that basically means taking the tool, swishing it around, and getting air to the product itself. Then he's going to, when he's finished with that, he's going to move his bowl to the side, and then we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. So for this particular part of the cookie experience, I'm going to hand Juneil a larger bowl because he's going to need to put his sugar and his butter in that bowl. So there's the sugar, Juneil. And all of our products here are labeled. They all have Braille labels on them. They don't come that way, we do that. So we use different applications to help us read products, like Seeing AI for the iPhone, and we also use Envision AI for the Android phone. And that helps us read the different products that are on our different things that we need to use. So there's like short text and a product identifier. So that way it will tell us what's there, and then we put a Braille label on it ourselves. So Juneil is going to add in a whole cup of flour, and then he's going to add, a whole cup of sugar, sorry, and then he's going to add in a half a cup of sugar to this recipe. And while Juneil is doing that, I'm going to come over to his other side and place in 2 sticks of butter. And for this recipe, 2 sticks of butter equals 1 whole cup of butter. And you want your butter to be very soft, almost to the point where it's mushy. And you really want it to be room temperature. Now, if you don't want to use the microwave, you don't want to use the oven, you really want it to be where it's softened on its own. Okay? Is your bowl here, Juneil?
Yes.
That has your flour in it. So where's your large bowl? Oh, that's your big bowl. All right. So I'm just basically going to take each end of the butter stick while Juneil has measured out the sugar.
Yep, 1 cup of sugar.
You got 1 cup? You can go ahead and do a half a cup.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to basically kind of, so what I did was took the edge of the butter stick where it has the fold, kind of like a present, and I took the edges apart, kind of found the seam of the butter stick, and just kind of loosened it off and kind of just let it fall on into the bowl because it's really soft at this point, which is really what you want. And then I'm going to place the wrappers to the side because I don't need that anymore. That can go into the garbage when we're done. Now when Juneil finishes measuring that out, he's basically taking his measuring cup, going into the container of sugar, getting out what he needs, taking his finger, sliding it across to level it out, and then he's going to dump it into the bowl.
So I'm creaming together the sugar and the butter. Just mixing it together. Make sure it's thoroughly combined.
And when Juneil's finished creaming his butter and his sugar together, then he's going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So Juneil has finished creaming his butter and his sugar together, so now he's going to add in his vanilla extract. And he's going to need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now what Juneil is doing, he's just opening up his bottle and he's holding it over another bigger glass measuring cup, you can use a bowl or anything else for this part of the thing. He's just holding his measuring spoon over top of the bowl and then pouring his extract onto the measuring spoon. If he happens to overspill, it's fine because it goes right into the bowl that is under it. So he's going to place in his ingredients into the bowl, and then if he has any that's spilled into this clean bowl that he used, he's going to then use the funnel. Get down there. He's going to take the funnel, he's going to put it on top of the bottle with the skinny side down into the bottle hole, and then he's going to pour his excess vanilla extract back into the bottle, so that way there's no waste. Okay, so now since Juneil finished adding in the vanilla extract, I'm going to crack our single egg, which should be at room temperature. So you can either put this in a bowl of water and let it warm up to room temperature. You're going to want to use lukewarm water, but my egg has been out for a little bit of time, so I don't need to do that. So what I'm going to do is take my egg and gently, I say gently, crack it on the side of the bowl, and then crack my egg. Take my hand, go over top of my bowl, and then let the egg yolk and everything fall into place. Now, if you want to make sure you didn't get any eggshells into your egg, what you want to do is eggshells actually float to the top. So you can take your finger and gently go in to where your egg is and feel around. And I don't have a single eggshell. So I don't know if you can get a shot of that, but nothing. It's beautiful. So I'm going to hand this bowl to Juneil. Here you go, Juneil. All right, here. Got it?
Yep, got it.
He is then going to dump it into our wet ingredients bowl. And then he's going to stir all that together till everything is mixed perfectly combined. So he's basically going in with his spoon/spatula. He's getting it up and in there. He's getting the sides. He's scraping everything down. He's making sure everything's good and combined thoroughly. And then when Juneil has finished combining all the wet ingredients, so your wet ingredients are going to be your sugar, your butter, your vanilla extract, and your egg. He's going to then add in his dry ingredients. His dry ingredients, again, were the baking soda, the baking powder, and the flour. So what he's going to do in this process, you can probably, I think is it well combined, Juneil?
Yes.
Okay, so this process, he's going to lift up his bowl, he's going to tilt it over his larger bowl, and that's with his dry ingredients. And he's going to gently put in a portion of the flour. You're not going to dump in the whole thing. He's going to put in a portion of the flour, and then he's going to give that a good stir and combine that, and then he's going to do complete cut. Then he will then repeat the same step over and over again until his dry ingredient bowl is empty. Now Juneil has combined all of his dry ingredients into his wet ingredients. He has finished stirring and it's ready to go. So now in the next step of this recipe, we need to place this cookie dough, because now it's dough all together and it looks beautiful and it's well combined. It's going to go in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, and that allows this dough to be easier to work with. Okay, so now our cookie dough is ready. It's sat in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to chill, so now it will be easy for us to work with. So we took that time to clean up our area and set up for the next step. So in between both myself and Juneil is our batter of cookie dough that he had put together. And then next to that, we have our cookie scoops, which we will be using, and we'll demonstrate that. We each have our own bowl of sugar. Now, we decided to get fancy here and use colored sugar, which you can purchase at any type of craft store, or even some grocery stores carry it. Juneil went with red, and I went with pink. So what we're going to do now, and Juneil's going to demonstrate this, he's going to take his cookie scooper, which it resembles an ice cream scoop, but they come in many different shapes and sizes. I want to say this is about a tablespoon size. So what he's going to do, he's going to take his scooper in, he's going to get it in there, And then when he gets up, what he wants, he's going to kind of pat it in his hand and press up all the stuff, all the cookie dough into the scoop. And then he's going to wipe off the excess, squeeze it together, drop the ball in his hand, and then he's going to roll it around in his hand. He's going to have, and what's going to end up happening is he's going to mold it into like a jumbo. He's going to mold it into a jumbo size gumball, if that's what you can imagine the size of it was going to be, the way it should feel. It should be ball shaped. And then he's going to roll that into his red sugar and place that onto his cookie sheet. So that's what we are going to do in this step, and it's very easy. So, and what happens is when you have a dough that you can roll into a ball and you place it onto your cookie sheet, it makes a perfectly round circled cookie, just like a cookie should be. There's going to be no odd shapes. It's not going to look like a kangaroo. It's going to be a perfect circle. So we had finished rolling out our dough and molding them into balls and rolling them around in the sugar bowl. Juneil has got 9 balls on his cookie sheet, and I have 6 on mine because I used a larger, almost double size scooper that Juneil did. So now Juneil is going to then check out his oven and place his cookies into the oven. So now Juneil is going to safely and properly place his cookie tray into the oven. He's going to put oven mitts on his hands, and then he's going to grab for a spatula. And you're thinking, why a spatula? So when Juneil opens up his oven,
Oven open.
he's then going to use his spatula to help him locate where his, there you go. He's going to open up the oven and use the spatula to locate where his oven racks are. So that way it can help him show the area of where he is to compare where the oven racks are. So that way he doesn't burn himself. Now Juneil's going to pick up his cookie tray and place it into the oven.
Oven closed.
And now we're going to set a timer for 9 minutes. So the timer had gone off. Juneil had taken the cookies out of the oven and placed them onto a cooling rack to cool for a couple minutes. But that part of the process is boring. So we decided to skip right to the decorating part. And we decided to decorate our pink and red sugar cookies with chocolate hearts and with different colored candy hearts. And they look beautiful. And I can't wait to taste them. So I want to thank you for joining me and Juneil at Blind Industries and Services of Maryland, where we can teach you how to be independent and show that blind people are just as capable as everybody else. So thanks again for coming and joining us today, and I'm signing off. I'm Laura Schroyer.
Juneil good.
And thanks for joining us today.